Stephen Curry is literally the greatest three-point shooter in the history of the game. But don't take my opinion for it. Stick around to the end of the video and get an in-depth analysis and the hard facts about why this man is so great. What is good, everybody out there? Thanks again for checking into another episode of Court Thoughts, the channel where we basically talk basketball. I was having a good think about what type of video I wanted to put together for you guys, and I realized that I hadn't done a video on the greatest three-point shooter literally in the history of the game of basketball, and that man is the one and only Stephen Curry. Now, we're going to be doing a reaction, and then at the end of the reaction, I'll be providing an in-depth, detailed breakdown about the highlights that we saw. But whose highlights are we checking out? The video that we are watching is from the folks over at Maximilian711. As always, guys, please make sure you jump over there and give them a like and subscribe. It's a fantastic channel. We've checked them out before on here. However, let's stop talking. Let's get straight into it. All right, let's check out the video. All right, guys, let's check out Maximilian711's video. Let's do it. Yes, sir. Here we go. Get ready. Get your pen and paper out. Get ready to take some notes.
Curry's going to put it up. You know that.
Because they...
Ultimately blocked Curry the other way. Sidesteps George.
Fakes the pass,
delivers it on.
If you want to be an effective passer, learning how to show the ball and throw that art of deception into there, fantastic. Yeah, damn. Closing off that angle, fantastic. Look at how he closes off the angle for the defender to try and beat him to the bucket. Can't do nothing with that. Pick and roll action, as you know they love to play. A little bit of space.
Probably just threw it. Christopher got it.
Curry on Shingun. He's wanted this all night. He gets it again. His career high is 6.
Oh no.
You know he was looking for that foul. You know he was looking for that foul.
Curry wins it to Thompson, who came back in. Eric Gordon also back on the floor. Back to Curry, who does it again.
Literally just running the screens.
Harkless took him. What a find. He saw Klay Thompson in the other corner. I don't know which was more impressive.
That's the bailout pass.
He gives it a quick glance.
That's normally the pass
Now he
that they're
takes
looking to
the
try and
three.
make in
A
that
step
angle
back
if they try to
shot.
come baseline. I've said this 1,000 times. They're trying to get to that opposite side.
Steph ball fake.
He took his time to make sure he got his legs under him. Burke was...
With that baiting foul rule change that they had, it's a it's disrespectful.
Shot down from the Ferry building.
They got guys that are willing to take it and make it.
I don't know what to say about that.
Now you see him, now you know. Oh, he snapped Julius Randle's ankle.
It's a little half turn.
Curry fakes, now drives. Curry gets inside.
He's got that really nice drop, hasn't he? Where he comes across, he looks up and just drops it.
Curry driving, Curry jumper. Good! Told you that mid-range.
This man is trouble.
It's got Nurkic on skates.
Nurkic is too big to try and stop him.
I think the ankle is fine. Oh, man. He's been reliable. Giving Grant a little credit.
Any space.
Now Curry.
That's the benefits of the one-motion shot, people.
Curry again.
Why are they stunned? They should be using. Green is in a torture chamber, and outside
Just
it goes Curry.
any daylight. Any daylight.
40 points. Ahead it goes to
doing
Lee.
full space in the
Back
back.
to
He knows
Steph
what's
for
up.
the lead.
Stops on defense certainly helps because you're not playing against
Pick
a
and
set
roll
defense,
action.
but they're moving it much better.
I'm noticing most of the pick and
That
rolls
is what you call
for him are not for the purpose of like trying to get downhill. A lot of them literally to create switching opportunities.
Notice Steph. So there's the free one.
That's a terrible shot. I know it went in, but it doesn't excuse the fact that that is a terrible ass shot. Do not take that shot in game.
Curry launches.
Just
He didn't stay connected. Kevon Looney, the offensive rebound off the pool miss. But he did knock it away.
look at that.
Let him work on Herder.
Ooh.
Like that. Curry a three.
With the clock down like that too.
Can you expand this lead? Steph 3.
Ooh, bro. That, like, pussy glitch? It's like, the timing is just so... Oh, bro. That's just so hard to get on the timing.
Steph with a step back 3. From the Brooklyn Nets. We call him TLC if you'd like.
Oh, yeah. He had to collect that out because the ball was out of control. Oh. Oh, my God.
And LaMelo's lost it, stolen away. Oh, Steph Curry, eyes in the back of his head.
You can see that he's already got the vision for it. So just sending it down any which way you can is fantastic. So what are you going to do? You know that there's a person down there cherry picking.
Back to the picture is Curry.
That side step so casual.
For the rebound, that's Payton. Curry again, almost the same spot. Oh, rattles one home. 4 for 4 from a minute and a half into this.
Notice his footwork.
Curry lets
Notice
it
his
fly.
footwork.
Right to
They're back up 21.
So
Their
fire.
defense has looked better the last 2 possessions.
That's what's allowing him to get these quick shots up. The footwork, so critical.
That's Stephen Curry. Now with the...
I'll be like Jay Kidd for you, all right?
Oh, God.
Steph connects.
With the river dance. Mommy, you don't know river dance.
Warriors are playing the Blazers.
How are you supposed to stop it?
How efficiently can they finish it up?
You see the show again? Recognize the show?
Quick fouls in the first quarter.
Trying to double him there.
Early in the second, Curry does it again.
Here, and the right fit with the roster pieces. Uh-oh, look out! Curry!
Each other at the
With the
practice
Bambi legs.
facility, and oftentimes Bridges is there before him. Not only that, sometimes he texts Jay Wright
Again,
saying
did you
thank
like?
you for his work ethic.
If you notice when he's taking the shot, even
Curry
if they're a
looking to
little
take
bit in his
Crowder.
cylinder, he's
Little
falling down.
hezzy floater, oh yeah!
Trying to free
That's not a bad thing. That's a smart thing. Ooh.
No one was even around him. And Steph inside midcourt.
Oh, bro. I think I seen the ball hit the backboard once.
From the
First shot, the half-court hike.
He might get away with that.
He's in a league of his own, man.
This is not how you play the final 19 seconds.
Okay, 2 hitting the board. And that was pretty good D. Staying in front of him kept him tight.
Probably got about another minute and a half.
And these guys are getting over screens pretty well. They're getting over screens, I would say, really well.
He's got 7.
Just so much, like, speed in his
To
release.
become the all-time leader, but a terrific drive.
Dude, that is so tough.
Unheard of. Turner able to convert.
That's some Kyrie shit.
That ends the 8-0 run. Here is Steph. Knocks in a 3.
Pull up.
Yeah, I can't even remember. Curry
Lets it fly. Literally just getting to, like, any little moment of space.
Again, here's Curry for the record. It's good! There it is! Stephen Curry! Curry
Half turn.
between 2, floater is good!
Oh my god, man. A lot of effective usage of body positioning, if you notice that. Again, with the hair, notice how he gets a little bit of contact and flops. He just initiates a little bit of contact and he's flopping straight through. Again, not a bad thing. Dangerous.
18 boards to go with the 20.
Ooh! 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 Someone get this man a map. Payton. Off that curl again.
He's unbelievable.
Anderson. Curry saves it. Curry on the move. Curry lays it in.
3 people on this man. How do you stop him?
And you will fit in just like any other starter.
Curry the 3.
Blocked. Great. He got it back. Gets it up with 1 second left.
Here in Los Angeles, Reeves all over Curry.
All over
Curry
him.
gets away and lays it
All
in.
sorts of contact. Running off the screens, trying to get the mismatch.
The 6th spot right now.
See that? Even when there was a slip and there was space to get rid of the ball, he's not getting rid of the ball, he's going himself. You shoot it like this. You got the green light, you can do whatever you want. So far, dude. Look at that. That's literally logo.
Trying to shake Jeff Green. Gets a step.
Oh my god.
And Kuzma can't stay with number 30.
Oh my god. Damn, that show was so amazing. This little, oh my god. You don't realize how effective that like misdirection with the eyes is.
They got Curry. He checked it.
3 on the clock.
For the win.
Bro, you're gonna have like balls of steel with ice in your veins.
Step back is killer. That step back is killer.
Hey Maximilian, you're a real legend for this. Thank you so much. Alright guys, at the end of the video, I go through and give my detailed analysis of the highlights that we saw. Okay, let's get straight into it. Now, the first thing that I'm going to talk about is the usage of screens. Now, there's two aspects specifically to this that I'm going to talk about. There's the off-ball action and the on-ball action. I'm going to start off with the off-ball action. When Steph doesn't have the ball, he is constantly running people off of screens. This, to me, is probably one of the most difficult things to deal with as a defender, is trying to stay in front of someone when they're throwing screen after screen after screen in front of you. It is really, really difficult, and this is one of the reasons why he's able to get a lot of freedom in shots, not just for him, but also for guys like Klay Thompson, because they run them off of screens. You can actually see with this type of tactic is not new. You used to see it used very effectively with guys like Rip Hamilton, who was a fantastic player in the mid-range coming off of screens, as well as guys like Reggie Miller. Playing off of the off-ball screen is so deadly for this man because of his release. Now, I'm going to get into his shooting action and all that stuff a little bit later. When you see that he has the ball and he's playing on-ball screen actions, a lot of the time when he was running pick and roll moves, it was not for the purpose of trying to get the big man to seal the smaller person down low. It was quite literally to get a mismatch for him at the top. When you see the amount of daylight that this man has when he's taking his shot, it is like this big. It is so minuscule. It is so tiny. I have no idea how you get that level of effectiveness in such a tight amount of space. This man gets shots up in no daylight. Like, I am really, really dumbfounded at the amount of effectiveness that this guy is able to have, considering the fact that these people are closing out on him hard. They're not jumping. They're trying not to bite for fakes. They're literally just sending their arm up and they're trying to minimize the chance of him taking it. And he literally just needs a little tiny bit of space and he's just yanking that shot out. Now, the pick and roll action, when you see how they use it, it's very effective for them because he's looking to try and get that state of separation to get his shot up, or he's looking to drive. And the way that he utilizes this to its fullest effect is just by creating space using footwork, which is my next point. Footwork is so critical in a number of different fashions, but the big thing that it does is footwork creates balance. Now, I mentioned this in a previous video for CT's classroom called one motion versus two motion shooting, and I would highly suggest for all you shooters out there, go ahead and give it a watch, because I actually use Steph Curry as an example. The one motion shot, which is the type of shot that you see Steph Curry use, is only able to be as effective as it is by having secure and proper footwork. Now, you can actually see that when he's trying to create his shot, whether off of a catch and shoot situation, off of the dribble, or even whether he's driving, he's utilizing his footwork and his foot placement is purely to try and keep himself on balance. Now, I don't think it's common that you would see a situation where you don't see Steph's feet directly under his body. Now, if you were to think about it, if your feet are under your body, you're on balance, okay? Now, if your feet are long strides out, you're generally not going to have a lot of secure balance, and this is normally used in change of direction situations when we look at people like Jason Tatum with his sidestep, or you look at guys like Giannis Antetokounmpo in the way that he uses it for his long strides with either his Eurostep or his decel. He'll be dribbling off of that pick and roll action, trying to go downhill with no intent of going downhill because he can see that the defender's there, to which he takes a step back or a sidestep to get his feet underneath him. Now, for all of you out there, if you're looking to try and be an effective shooter, footwork is absolutely the first thing that I would definitely suggest that you look at and consider improving on, because this type of thing is going to help you in getting your shot up really quick, whether you're on the catch and shoot situation. It's going to help you have a lot more fluidity in your shot when you're creating shot opportunities off of the dribble, but it's also going to allow you to be effective in your range of movement, especially when it comes to driving situations or just running off of screens. It allows you to be really effective in your movement on the court. His footwork is fantastic, and that level of control allows him to have the next asset in his toolbox, which is the art of deception. The art of deception is so important in being able to create space, because if you can fool the defender to think that you're going right but you're going left, gives you space. If you can fool the defender to think that you're going to pass the ball but you're actually going to go back up for a floater or whatever the case, it's going to free you up, all whilst still allowing you to have the availability to utilize the ball. So I could still fake a pass by looking off here, making you think what's going on here, showing the ball over to my right with the intention on seeing how you bite. Now, this ultimately becomes an option for the defender to see how he reacts. Does he react to the ball being shown over here? Does he react to me looking over here? If he reacts over to here, I can just literally go straight up. If he reacts to here, then I can also pull the ball back and go. So it gives you this freedom. There's also a number of other options. This is just in a sort of fast break scenario that I'm talking about. But the way that you have effectiveness with deception is by using both of those tools that I mentioned. By using your eyes, and also by using the ball in creating this showing look. Now, when you look at Steph's head fake or Steph's hezzy, it is so deadly because he utilizes both of these actions. Now, one of the things that I have tried to steal when it comes to Steph Curry's game, besides his footwork, because his footwork is definitely something that I am very, very influenced by, is the way that he brings the ball to his hands. If you look, he was one of the early adopters of the look-up hezzy, or at least that's what I call it, the look-up hezzy, where you would look up at, you would be dribbling, you would look up at the basket, you would bring your hand up, and the ball would sort of float up, and then you would drop the ball, okay? Some people would use this, and they would have this sort of rock step. Other people would just drop it. There would be a bunch of different ways that you can do this, but I'm talking about this particular movement. And you notice that because people have to respect his shot because he's such a deadly shooter, that him being able to use this little misdirection in his eyes and the misdirection in showing the ball and moving the ball, it just is this deadly combo. And the art of deception is so, so important. If you look at guys like Luka Doncic is absolutely not the most athletic person, but he is a highly effective player because he uses the art of deception and also the art of space reading. And whilst you can definitely see Steph is able to utilize things like space reading, it's all just from repetition. He's been able to see how guys react to him, and he's so confident with his shot that it allows him to just take these shots, and if they read it, it's just an easy game for him. Simplifying the game is one of the most effective ways to make you so dominant on the court. You have to be able to read and react and adjust in the game. I mentioned this in the LeBron James video that you have to look at what's happening, whether it's the defenders or what the coaches are calling or what the ref's calling. You have to look at it and be able to adjust. And by utilizing things like the art of deception and anticipating what they're going to do is going to allow you to pretend that you're going to give it to them, or pretend that you're going to take that shot because they know that you want to take that shot, only to take an extra step in and go for the shot. The next thing that I'm going to talk about, which is my final point from the highlights, is confidence. With all of the things that I've spoken about, right, in order for you to be effective in creating your shot or taking some of the shots that he was taking, you have to be confident. Now, there is a fine line and balance that has to be achieved, because we can look at some of those highlights, and I absolutely would say there was a good chunk of those shots that were absolutely dog shit shots. They were not shots that you would expect a high caliber and effective shooter to be taking. In fact, I'm sure that if you were playing on a team and you took 1/3 of some of the shots that he was taking, you would have been benched quicker than you would be doing you would be doing the turnaround, walking to the bench like you were doing the turnaround Steph Curry as if you made the shot. The shit ain't gonna work. It isn't something that is achieved without repetition. And in order for him to be this confident, you have to think about the volume of shots that this man is getting up, but also the awareness of his style of play. The team has an effectiveness in being able to give him that freedom and knowing that he's able to take the shots. Do I think that this is a good thing or a bad thing? I think it's 50-50. Having confidence is super, super critical. No one's going to bet on you harder than yourself, right? So you need to have confidence in your shot, but you also need to be smart enough to recognize what's a good shot and what's a bad shot. Some of the shots that he was taking were, like I said, bad shots. They were off balance. They were really early into the shot clock, and they don't necessarily allow other people to get involved. Now, this man is averaging 24.3 points per game for his career, and I'm just some bum who's speaking on a YouTube channel. But the important thing that I want you to take away is that in order to be effective, the numbers have to speak. When we think about the level of confidence, how is this man so confident? Well, we can just look at the volume of shots that he's taking. I went through and crunched some numbers when it came to 3-point effectiveness, and in order to really understand this, I have to give you a little bit of a background. 1979 was the year that the 3-point shot was introduced into the NBA, and from my opinion, anywhere from 1979 up into 2012, the 3-point shot was not a heavily utilized shot. It was very much a case that the game was being played in a way of trying to get the ball as close to the bucket, or trying to get down as fast as possible, or trying to move the ball as fast as possible. These are pretty much the key principles of most systems, okay? Most systems have been looking to try and adopt one, if not multiple, of those three key things that I spoke about. When you look at teams like the Mike D'Antoni Suns, or you look at the Showtime Lakers, they were trying to get down the court as quickly as possible and trying to avoid grinding out plays and literally playing a numbers game in trying to push the pace, run the defender off of their feet. One thing that I absolutely love and used in two different fashions. The other way that you could see that the game was played prior to this was trying to create ball movement. And you think about the Michael Jordan era Bulls, or you think about Greg Popovich's Spurs system, they were running off of very similar actions where they're trying to space the floor out. Now, they were doing it in very different ways, but you could see that the main purpose was trying to move the ball, because if you move the ball, you move the defender. You move the defender, you create space. You create space, you create opportunity. I know a lot of these things might not make sense when you think about it in such a rapid fire way, but I promise you, try and move the ball and you'll create a lot of space. It's definitely going to help you out. I'm mentioning all these things because of the fact that 3-point volume was not something that was highly respected. It was actually not something that was highly opted for. You can actually see games now where guys will get open court opportunities and they'll stop at the 3-point line and take a shot, and they won't be benched, whether they make it or not. But back in the day, if you were to go through and have a fast break and you don't go for a layup, or you have an open lane and you stop and take a 3, there would literally be an immediate sub called to sit your ass down on the bench. And that's just the way that the game was played. It's absolutely changed now, where we're adopting much more of a faster pace and more open opportunity for creating shots, and we can look at the numbers to support this. I went through and looked at the highest field goal attempts for 3-point shots across the years from 1979 all the way to 2009. Why 2009? Well, 2009 was the year that Steph Curry was drafted 7th overall by the Golden State Warriors. And the highest averages are really not that high in comparison to the volume that this man puts out. The lowest out of the highest averages that I saw for three-point attempts was in the 80-81 season for Cleveland with Mike Bratz. Now, Mike Bratz took 169 three-point attempts for the year. The highest up until that point was in the 95 to 96 season with George McLeod taking 678. This is up until 2009, okay? Let me give you a little bit of a comparison, okay? Steph Curry averages 560 attempts in his 13-year career. Now, some things that you do need to consider is that there is seasons where he's had giant chunks where he hasn't played, and a perfect example of that is the 19-20 season where he only played 5 games, and you also had the 17-18 season where he had his MCL sprain and he was out for 6 weeks. Now, if you think about this, okay, there was a large number of shot attempts that were lost during that period. How many are we talking about? Well, we start to get into numbers like career three-point percentage accuracy. I also looked at this number, and the most effective three-point shooter with accuracy is Steve Kerr. Now, Steve Kerr had a career percentage of 0.4540%. Steph Curry has 0.4276. Now, you might be thinking, does that mean that Steph Curry is not as good of a shooter as Steve Kerr? Absolutely not, because if you think about the volume of shots that they were taking, and this speaks to my point. Steve Kerr, across his 17-year career, shot an average of 1.8 per game. All right? Steph Curry shoots an average of 8.8 per game. This is the way that he's able to achieve his 24.3 points per game average across his career, and it's being able to create those spaces and opportunities, and that's what makes him confident in the system. He's confident in the way that the system plays, he's confident in his shot, and his teammates are confident in him. And the only way that you do that is by getting out onto the court and training and working on your shot. Now, all that being said, I've been thinking about doing a video series specifically on training plans or training practices that you can look to adopt. And I've done similar stuff in the previous about, obviously trying to better your game with the CT's Classroom series. But if you would like to know some games or different things that you can utilize in your training regime, jump in the comments and let me know, because I'd be keen to know if you want to see some sort of video about trying to improve your shot. But look, guys, I had a lot of fun going through and reacting to the greatest three-point shooter in the history of the game. This man is one of my absolute favorites, and listen, that 10-minute highlight is a testament to the level of skill that this man's got. All right, well, that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for kicking it with your boy. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, consider liking and subscribing for more content. And until I see you next time, make sure you're looking after yourself, you take care, and be safe. All right, peace.